Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And I am firing on all cylinders for this episode.
Be a show for the record book tonight.
Boy, oh boy, is this going to be a good one. Let me tell you. I tell you what. If there's anything I would do,
I would lick the pole.
And you know
That's
it.
right.
You know that it's true. There's a little poem for you. Yeah.
If there's, for all the Mind Gap historians out there, this is one to mark down in the annals of our history.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It's true. It's a fact. It's a thing. I had a little bit of trouble. I lost track of time and had to come running to get everything set up really fast. So I'm a little flustered right now. And we're on it. We're gonna get on track though. Speaking of being flustered and being sweaty, I have a fun weight story. So
Please.
Thanksgiving, leading up to Thanksgiving, I was eating like a goblin. I was not doing well. I was digging into sweets. The old Doug came back where it's like, well, we made this. We can't throw it out. I mean, that'd be wasteful. You made this whole pie. That would be really awful if you threw it out, And we should make more things so when we go see our in-laws, they have lots of good stuff too. And while you're there, you know what's good, so you gotta try it. You gotta eat it. So, you gotta do that kind of stuff. And so here's what I made I guess what I made for our Thanksgiving. I brined and smoked a turkey. Which was delicious. It was amazing.
Looked delicious.
It was so good. I was like, this is what I've been missing all this time is people don't know how to make a turkey. Because they just throw it in an oven and let it sit there. And it just dries the fuck out and it's gross. It's terrible. You're just like, I need to dunk this in something. Blue cheese, you got it. Great. Dunk, Yeah. So I made the turkey. I made Dad Mac. It was just macaroni and cheese with pecan smoked bacon. And then I made a strawberry chocolate cake, which was...
Did you smoke the bacon yourself?
I did not.
Okay.
I bought that from the store. But pecan smoked stuff is my new favorite thing. Like, you wouldn't imagine it, but it's phenomenal. I'm like, okay, this is the shit. I made a chocolate strawberry cake, which was... I gave half of it to my neighbors. I was like, yep, you guys are getting all this because this is dangerous. This is dangerous in my tum-tum.
Yeah.
This is not good. And then I made I made artisan bread for us to chomp on and some broccoli.
There you go.
To even it out.
Green in there, yeah.
Right? We got some green in there. So that was our Thanksgiving. And then I made focaccia. Mm-hmm. I smoked some cheddar cheese. I made caramel brownies. I made smoked streusel pumpkin pie. And there was a fifth thing. What was the fifth thing? Oh, yeah, and apple bread.
Ooh, okay.
And I brought all of those up to my sister-in-law's.
You're living by the way of the smoker right now.
I tell you.
Everything.
I tell you what. I was like, listen, this is a giant block of cheddar cheese that was smoked. It came from Costco, so you know it's massive. I was like, I don't give a fuck if nobody eats this because I'm going to fucking eat this right now. I probably ate about a third of it. Just because that's the best thing about the holidays for me is like the snacking,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's, I'm making an assumption here. Is everyone like this where you have like a sort of meats and cheeses and crackers just out for people to,
Oh, absolutely. At least for us, yes.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So while people are finishing up the stuff, I'm just like, cutting up this. I brought apples to have smoked cheese with the apples, which is just like, oh my God. I'm just sitting there just being like, this is good stuff, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
Right. Y'all should get in on this.
You don't want this. I'm going to eat it. I was just going to town on it, and I ate like a monster. And so when I weighed myself, the Monday after, so we went up on Saturday, came back home on Sunday, and then on Monday I weighed myself. I was 247.
Okay. Up from what? What was the base?
I mean, I've been averaging around 238 to 240.
Okay.
And I was just like,
up there,
yeah, I was bad. I was getting into treats and getting into sugar, and I was like, okay,
regroup.
Time to turn this around. And I was extremely diligent, and I have been ever since then. And each day, weight going down, weight going down, weight going down. Yesterday, I weighed in at 239. So
nice.
In 1 week's time, I went from 247 to 239 and just brought it way back. And I'm like, there we go. There we go.
A little bit better, yeah.
Yes.
Could you notice the difference in that 10 pounds physically?
I just think the way I felt, I knew it. Like, I just knew deep down. I didn't feel good about the stuff I was eating. I knew I was making bad choices. And I kept telling myself, I mean, come on. I have so many excuses. It's Thanksgiving. You don't eat like this all the time, but that turned into all the time very quickly.
I was going to say, I do subscribe to that school of thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's Thanksgiving. It's your birthday. I've got like three days. It's my birthday is one where I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
Those are the three that I'll give myself, and Arbor Day sometimes.
Yeah, some days.
But, outside of that, and I guess Memorial Day and Labor Day, because you got to bookend it. So it's Arbor Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, my birthday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And Valentine's Day, because sometimes we go out. So It's just those. I think we're up to, is that 8 days now? Yes, those 8 days. And, well, if you're going to go out drinking on St. Patrick's Day, also St. Patrick's Day. So, and your birthday is a celebration. I like your birthday. So we'll round it, say an even 10 days. And then, then there's April, all of April. I need to eat better, Doug.
Justin?
Yeah.
How dare you forget Washington's birthday? Washington's birthday. You don't go hard on Washington's birthday?
I go hard on President's Day.
You know what? Better answer. All of them. Celebrate all of them. Not just Washington. You got to go all of them. All in. The good, the bad, whatever.
Yeah,
you got to go all in. You got to celebrate it.
Yeah.
I get it. I respect
I usually give myself about 3 days, but it's when I do crack that egg open, it is kind of hard. It starts to seep out into the other, the surrounding days or weeks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just cut you off because I'm a dickhead.
It's not easy.
I'm a dickhead. I don't mind a day of going like just have fun today. My problem was it wasn't just a day. Right. It was basically a week.
Right.
And yeah, I kept telling myself, whatever you weigh, you're going to deserve this. And you know it. You know this is true. You know this is true. I waited. I was like, I can't be mad because I did go all out.
I had my fun. Yeah.
Because I was just eating a lot of garbage and I felt it in my body. Like I felt gross. I didn't feel.
What I was wondering. Could you feel it? Like, when I said, did you notice it? Not did you physically or visually notice it, but could you feel yourself? Just like, was your breathing change, or was it harder to bend an entire shoe, or
nothing like that? But I just think, like, I could tell that I'd been filling my body with a lot of sugar, just a lot of sugar. I wasn't eating a lot of any veggies, very few fruits and things like that. Although I did have the apples with the cheese. That's how I justified it at the time.
See, and apple bread. Come on,
right? Apple bread is totally good.
Strawberry in that strawberry chocolate pie.
It's totally good. So there's pumpkin in the pumpkin pie. Which, by the way, that streusel pumpkin pie is fucking amazing. Amazing. So it's the best pumpkin pie I've ever made, easily.
That's awesome.
I made them in the past. I'm like, I fucked something up in there because that's just okay. I don't feel like making it again, but then I saw this recipe and I tried it and I was like, okay. Here
we go.
Oh boy. Yeah. So as now I'm like, as we're heading into Christmas break, I'm going to have 2 weeks off. And in that, we literally talked tonight about what we're going to have for Christmas dinner. I'm like, and we're going to go right back at it again.
So you're just going to let it go.
I'm just like, fuck. And then also, last year we made Christmas cookies with Natalie, and she had a fucking blast with that. And I was like, fuck, we're gonna make Christmas cookies. Those are gonna be hanging around. And then it's like, and Natalie's like, can we make French toast casserole for like breakfast? Because there's this amazing French toast casserole with croissants and shit. And I'm just like, it's so good. But I'm like, oh my God, there's gonna be that. Yeah. And all that. I was like, okay, I will give myself a day or two, but I can't do what I did again. I just can't come, I mean, the good thing is that I plan on working out the whole time. Like we're actually not going anywhere. So I'm just going to be, not anymore. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm just going to be, making sure that I'm hitting the gym and doing what I'm doing. And I think what really also too is I because of like just scheduling with work, I wasn't able to do my second walk during the day. I was able to get like my calorie goal, but I wasn't getting that extra, 55 minutes of walking, which I think really made a difference. So anyway, this was a Doug Cochran weight story.
I have been struggling to get back on ever since I pulled my back a month and a half ago or so. I've been struggling to get back on that routine. It's amazing when you get off of when you break that routine, how quickly it can just dissolve and how tough it is to get it back. So I've been spotty at best with my workouts, and I feel like I'm just starting around the corner and getting back onto it. I had 2 really good workouts today, and I was like, all right, we're going back and going hard in the paint on this one.
Nice.
But I will say that I have given into the temptations. I broke down and bought myself the Dean's French onion dip. Bought myself large cup of it. And I was like, I thought of you with every fucking bite.
I was like, the good old days.
Yeah.
The good old days.
And
I distinctly remember you and I sitting down on your couch, cracking open a bowl of that and just watching a movie or something, and we just went to town on that. I was like,
it was gone. Yeah, we finished it.
That reminds, dude, when I was younger, I could eat a whole container of that in one sitting.
Yeah.
Easily.
So I don't know what it is, but it's so.
And I fucking hate onions, but I'm just like, oh my God. Ugh.
Something so pleasing about it. So, and while you're eating it, while I had this tub of it, I was eating it. I'm like, I don't care. This is great. This is delicious. And then when it get done, I'd sit down and half hour later, I'd be like, it was a mistake. Huge mistake. Shouldn't have done that. The
worst thing is doing the math on like the serving sizes and the calories per serving after the fact. You're like, it can't be that bad. You're like, oh yeah. And you're like, oh fuck. That's for how much? And you're like, yeah, you're doing the math. You're like, I don't want to do the math. I don't want to do the math.
No,
I don't want to multiply this.
Thank God I'm bad at math because I can't do it. Yeah.
It's it's amazing. That reminds me, I saw a hilarious TikTok today of a guy calling Verizon to argue about his bill because he's asking them to explain, like, break this down to me why this costs what it does. So like, well, it costs 0.002 cents per kilowatt. So if you take this times that, the guy goes, no, you're not converting it back to dollars. You're calculating that in cents. The guy goes, yeah, it's $0.002. He goes, no. You said 0.002 cents. They're like, yeah. He's like, do you think those two are the same? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no. 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 And he just goes around and around with this guy. And then the guy gets his manager. And the manager goes, hi, how can I help you? He's like, okay. Do you believe there's a difference between $1 and 1 cent? And she goes, yes. He goes, okay. Do you believe there's a difference between $0.50 and 0.5 cent? She goes, yes. He goes, okay. Do you believe there's a difference between $0.002 and 0.002 cents? And she goes, no. And he goes, oh my God, I'm teaching math here. Like, he's like, because she does the same thing. She goes, so if you take 0.002 times this, he goes, yes, that's not, and then you say the total is this. He's like, no, you have to convert it back to dollars. That's cents. And then what is that in dollars? She's like, that's it. He goes, no.
And this is real. This was not
a real call. A real call. He's like, I can't believe I'm teaching math. And this lady at the end, she goes, listen, sir, I'm not a mathematician. He goes, it's not what about being a mathematician. It's units of measure are important. And you're skipping over this.
Right.
I thought of you.
I'm not a mathematician. Clearly.
Yeah. This is a simple...
Fucking hysterical.
I love it. Because he wasn't rude or anything, but he was actually pretty calm as he was explaining it. He's like, and what's this? And what's that? And then he's just like, oh my God, I can't believe we keep going round and round and round.
That's fucking absolutely beautiful. Because I feel, at the same time, I do feel bad for the customer service rep that they called because They're not the ones setting the prices. They're not the ones billing them. They're just a body on the phone. And like we've both been in that position. And call's the worst, especially if you're not understanding something or there's a miscommunication and you're locked into one way and like your brain just can't shift. Like it's just the fucking worst.
The worst is when you realize there's the problem, but you also know your manager's not going to fix it.
Right.
Because they're pieces of shit. Like I've been there where I'm like, oh no, we fucked up. And they're just like, shh, no, stick to the plan. Yeah. I'm like, but shh.
Oh, deny.
It's like, wow. So this is what I'm learning not to do when I'm in a position of power. Got it. Like, I got it.
I got to ask you a question about Thanksgiving, though.
Yeah.
Because we had this debate when we were over at my family's house. Do you like gravy first? Let's start.
Yes,
let's
love
establish
gravy.
the baseline. Okay.
Love it.
Do you like gravy on everything? Or is there specific things that gravy should be it's the only thing gravy should touch?
I think it depends. Like obviously gravy on mac and cheese, nah, not really what I'm looking for. Gravy on mashed potatoes, obviously. Gravy on turkey, fine.
Oh, so you're obviously mashed potatoes fine on turkey, because the big debate was butter should go on mashed potatoes, gravy should go on turkey, and nowhere betwixt shall they meet.
No, it's both butter and gravy goes on. I don't know how you make fucking mashed potatoes. You don't put butter in there?
No. Butter on the butter for the mashed potatoes, yes.
Uh-huh.
And gravy on the turkey. But not gravy on the mashed potatoes.
I just want to be clear here. In order to make the mashed potatoes, you do put butter in there, yes?
Yeah, are we having a 0.2 cents thing?
I'm just trying to I just want to be clear. Like, in the process of making it, you include butter and milk and you mash it all together, correct?
That is.
Okay.
I presume that's how. I don't make them for Thanksgiving. When I make them, that is how I make them. I'm assuming that is how they're made.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, we're good there. We're square. And then after the fact, they put additional butter on top of the. Yeah. I get that. I've never thought of doing that though. Like that's in the moment. That's weird to me. But I also have baked potatoes where what do? You put butter on it and everything else, so that makes sense. Yeah. Wait. So butter only for mashed potatoes, but if you have a baked potato, do they put like sour cream and other stuff on it? They put cheese, bacon.
I'll tell you that much.
But do they put other stuff on it?
That wasn't the debate. I don't know. That's not where we got.
Get him on the phone. I want to clear this up right now. I want to clear this up right now. Yeah. Put him on the podcast and say, do you put other stuff on your baked potato? Okay, hold. We're going to discuss the other elements with this before we move forward, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, because I don't like during Thanksgiving. Typically, if I don't have gravy laying around, so typically on my mashed potatoes, I will put an extra little pat of butter on there and maybe a little bit of salt and zhuzh it up a little bit more. But at Thanksgiving, I will just gravy over that side of the plate.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Like, and if it hits the, again, I'm not the kind of person who needs all my. I don't need a what's the word? Like a partitioned plate.
Yeah.
Some people are like, "Oh, my food can't touch." Ha.
Jill's kind of like that. Jill very much.
My aunt and my mom said is like that, and that's totally fine. I respect that. I don't have that, so if my stuff mixes on the plate, all the better. It's tasty.
That's a really great question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that's a really great question about that. I would disagree about the mashed potatoes in my mind and the marketing and everything that I've seen. Like mashed potatoes, like you think mashed potatoes and gravy, like that is the common.
You see people pouring the gravy over.
Yeah, it's a common thing.
Make a little the mashed potatoes, gravy goes in there. Yeah.
If mashed potatoes are made well, they don't need gravy. It's kind of like if you have good fries, they don't necessarily need ketchup.
Sure.
This
is just an added thing that you might want to put on it.
Yeah. I've had plenty of mashed potatoes where I'm like, give me all the fucking gravy because this has no flavor. This is the whitest white person mashed potatoes I've ever had. This is sad. This is a sad moment. But yeah, like that's interesting. I've never had the pat of butter on the mashed potatoes. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't understand when there was a line drawn in the sand, and they said gravy does not go on mashed potatoes. I'm like, I don't understand that.
That's categorically false.
Gravy is kind of acceptable not to be put directly on everything, but gravy, touching or mixing with anything on the Thanksgiving plate, in my mind, is...
Well, what's on your plate, Justin? What's on your Thanksgiving plate?
You got like a green...
I'll tell you what's weird.
Thing. You got like a green bean casserole thing. Sometimes there's some cream corn on there. There's mac and cheese, stuffing, turkey, mashed potatoes. I would say pretty standard.
Stuffing, turkey, mashed potatoes, all good. Green bean casserole, I don't know. Maybe that's weird.
I'm not putting it on there, but like if the gravy leaks over to that side and I'm getting some of it in the forkfuls, I'm not going to like...
Yeah. I've had the same thing happen with like mac and cheese, like where it sort of bleeds over and touches, and I'm like, oh no, an extra shot of salty goodness,
I was gonna say it's savory, what are you gonna
But if
do?
you're intentionally like, yes,
no,
toil, boil, trouble, give me all the cholesterol, bubble,
Bubble gut.
bubble. Yeah, because I remember my dad used to go to salad bars. I've never seen a plate piled so high. That guy got everything.
Yeah.
And
he got his money's worth, is what he did. Man,
I tell you, he would just, the giant plate he would have of stuff, and I used to be like, that's healthy, because that was at the salad bar. And when I think back at it, I was like, oh no. Oh no. I don't see no lettuce. No,
prime beef at a salad bar.
I mean, it was all stuff like, heaping. It looked like it was the consistency of something like a potato salad or a cottage cheese, or with dressing on it. It looked like it was very heavy in the caloric intake. Salad bar wasn't like a bunch of dry leaves with a couple things of tomatoes and shredded carrots and maybe a little bit of feta. It was drowned. It was this big plate. I'm like, fucking hell. And then he would have his meal. Because this is like one of the places in the Midwest where it's like, well, you can have the salad bar. It's included with the meal. Right. Go up there as much as you like. Yep. And then you have the meal. So my dad would get this heaping plate of God knows what.
Right.
Eat it. And then have his entree.
Right.
This is where I learned. This is where I learned.
Chicken and burgers and hot dogs and
steak.
All things. Yeah. Steak.
Wolf says mac and cheese should go everywhere. I agree. And he also says he loves a good salad bar. I don't. But, salad bar is... I'll tell you what I liked a salad bar for was for cottage cheese, applesauce. That's it. That's good. No croutons.
You're not a pudding guy?
Oh, right. Well, it depended, because sometimes I got misled on the pudding. I'm like, ooh, pudding. It's like, yeah, it's banana pudding. I'm like, I don't want banana pudding. Jell-O. Wolf's right. Jell-O.
Jell-O, yes.
Jell-O.
I don't get pudding unless it's chocolate.
That's fair.
I won't eat a beige or vanilla looking pudding.
Because you don't know. Is it vanilla? Is it banana? If it's got bubbles, it's tapioca. So that's good. That's good. But then you're like, I don't know. It could be. It's a risk. Is it lemon?
Oh, lemon. But see, at what point does it become yogurt? Like lemon. Is there lemon Jell-O really? I've had lemon yogurt.
Stand by for confirmation.
I am. I would say by general rule, I am a strict chocolate pudding guy.
Goddamn right. There's lemon pudding.
All right.
Where the fuck do you think you live? What universe are you living in where you don't think there's lemon goddamn pudding, Justin? Oh man, this looks really good. I fucking love lemon desserts. What's up?
I do like lemon desserts too.
Oh man, give me a lemon bar. Oh, I'll eat the shit out of that, man. Oh my god. I like a lemon sorbet. But like, yeah, man, you tell me there's a lemon cake? Oh my god. Oh god, yeah. Give it to me, baby. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I'm gonna buff.
Oh, that's what my stomach says. Give it here.
Doug's already starting to fall back off the wagon, just mentally right now. He's like, I'm gonna eat all the things.
Yeah. It was not good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hey gang, do me a solid real quick. If you're watching this, hit the like button. And if you feel so inclined, hit the subscribe button too while you're at it. It means a lot to us. Also, don't forget to check us out on our social medias at MindGap Podcast. We live stream the podcast Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central on the dot every week. Never late, ever. And you can come and interact with us live, like Mr. Wolf's Blood and Miss Zenny. And I also host a video game live stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. I played some Ultimate Chicken Horse last Saturday, and I made a bold declaration that with my new gaming controller I was going to win, and I did that. Nope, I did about the same. That game will beat the life out of you for sure. Yeah. As you all build your level from hell and try to survive it. And there's these moments I'm like, all right, this is what we play for, and then I'm boo, and just I'm like, cool, nice, way to go, Doug, way to go. Or I feel like such an old man. I'll be like, which character's mine? Because there's like 4 people jumping around, and you're like, I don't know, I thought I jumped, but I realized I was looking at the wrong character. That wasn't me, Yeah. Wolf says, who needs a sweat lodge when you have Ultimate Chicken Horse? Yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. We had a really good time.
Sweat inducing.
Yeah. This Friday we're going to be doing a live stream of Overwatch 2. We're going to be celebrating the season 2 launch that actually launched today. As of today, which we're recording it. So there's a brand new tank character, and there's been some buffs and some tweaks to some of the characters. So we're going to be fucking around and figuring out that stuff. So check that out Friday night, 8 p.m. Central. Come hang out with us, and if you want to, check out the link in the description down below to join our Discord, be part of the cool peepees that are the Mind Gap community. And then check out patreon.com/mindgappodcast and our merch at redbubble.com. So all the links in the description down below. Bing, bang, boom.
That's it.
So, Justin.
Yes, Douglas.
Corporate greed. How do you feel about it?
Nothing gets me more excited.
Nothing gets the blood flowing. Nothing will get the beats per minute going in your heart when you go to work out. You're just so full of rage. You're just like,
when I think about corporate greed, because my metabolism shoots through the fucking roof.
The fucking roof.
Yeah. What are you talking about specifically, though, Doug?
We're talking about Bank of America, which is, let's face it, founding father of America.
The founding bank.
It is the founding bank. It is Bank of America.
Yeah.
I mean,
America's bank.
That's right. It is. So actually, it's not necessarily bank. Well, it kind of is, but it's mostly Hasbro.
Right. Bank of America is the one who is shunning the corporate greed.
They're mad. Yeah, actually, yeah. They're just kind of like, hey, you're doing bad. We invested in you.
I know your name.
Yeah. So Hasbro is the owner of the property, the card game known as Magic the Gathering, which is also associated with Wizards of the Coast. And I have briefly dabbled in this game digitally through some, like they released a game years ago that I bought on sale and I enjoyed it. But I'm not a deck building guy. I don't enjoy deck building games. I don't trying to come up with a strategy, and I don't like the idea of having to like find or the way that, if you're not familiar with these kinds of games, essentially like the physical copies are, you get certain cards and you use them to essentially like duel other people to see if you can beat them. That's sort of like the overall premise. And depending on what kind of cards you have, you can develop different strategies. Like you can have some cards that maybe like you basically summon monsters and creatures to fight, to protect you and attack your enemies. Maybe you want to go big and like really save up and get like big heavy hitting creatures. So you kind of move a little bit slower in the game to be like do devastating stuff. Or maybe you're like, I'm just going to summon a bunch of cheap creatures. They're not going to do much, but I'm going to summon a lot of them so you can't attack me, and they will just slowly needle you to death. Yeah. You know, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to play, but a lot of it is kind of randomized on what kind of cards you get, because you go and buy these different packs. So that's where sort of like the monetization comes in. You buy the packs, and sometimes you get duplicates, sometimes you get rare cards and things like that. So there's a bit of an economy there where some cards are more valuable than others, and some of them are pretty common, and it's just like kind of going and buying these and building your decks and building different things. There's competitions. It's a very strong, thriving community that's existed for a while, and you know, fans are very proud of it. They love to play it, and it's been pretty interesting. So recently, what's happened is that Hasbro has, I think in the past year, if I remember this correctly, has been releasing new content every single week. So the way that this works is they will release brand new cards, and they will basically be like, these are available to buy. And The problem with that is it's diluting the content. It's flooding the market with stuff. And in this economy, it's hard to go and continuously buy the stuff every week. Imagine having something that you enjoy, but every week there was something new.
Right. I mean,
that you had to buy.
Yes. It's not like we're exhausted enough trying to keep up with Marvel. You know,
right.
We don't have to buy that. It doesn't come out every week. Like if this was purchase only every single week, that would be not only exhausting, but very draining from a monetary standpoint.
Yeah. So you're asking your fans to basically be like, yeah, hey, come support us or whatever. Hey, we got this new thing, got this new thing. I'm thinking of like video games and how they have downloadable content or DLC. And imagine if it's like, oh yeah, every week there's a new DLC. And you're like, God damn it, man. I don't want to fucking buy this every week to play this game to potentially get what I want. And so also this is stressful on the local game shops that also will buy this content from Hasbro, essentially
secondary market, right?
Exactly, to basically be like, we'll buy it wholesale and then we'll sell it locally. So you're buying this stuff, you're filling your shelves, and then like next week they're like, we got new stuff. And so they're like, oh, I don't have space for it. So if they whatever they don't sell, they have to offload at a discount to make room for the new stuff. And then before you know it, you just have this, you're losing money because you're not getting, what you need out of it. And then additionally, Hasbro opened up their own sort of digital area where you can buy directly from them for the packs that you want, which is effectively cutting out the gaming, the local game shops anyway.
Right.
So you have this, for a year, they've just been flooding the market with this stuff, and the gamers are just like, God damn it, this is exhausting. I don't want to do this. There's frustration building. Well, then Hasbro did arguably one of the dumbest things, which is they released a 30th anniversary pack that they valued at $1,000.
Yeah. For how many cards there, Doug?
What was it? Was it
15?
15 cards.
15 cards, yes.
Yeah. So these cards contained some of the rarest cards ever created. Some of these cards are no longer in print.
List card.
Yes.
Cards. Yeah.
And some of these are no longer in print. And I just need you to understand that some of these cards are worth tens of thousands of dollars because that's how rare they are. The Black Lotus card that's featured in the article right here from mtgrocks.com, that is one of the most valuable cards out there. I want to see right now if I can find what is a Black Lotus Magic card worth. Anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000.
That's crazy.
That's current value of that. So within this $1,000 pack are included cards like the Black Lotus, which economically, which also just tickles my fancy, means that you are devaluing that card because you are adding it to the market because there's a scarcity, there's a finite amount, and now these cards are existing. And on top of that, these cards are not officially allowed to be played in tournaments. They're designated as this like collector's items.
Right. So you've got this card that's useless if you're playing the game and or trying to competitively play the game. Maybe it held immense resale value, but now these cards that you were promised they're done printing them. Now they're being reprinted and sold again, more on the market, driving your price down. And per this article, it's causing people to have to liquidate their stock of this. Like people are just like, let's sell this as quick as we can so we can just make whatever money we're able to make. And it's just completely crashing this little ecosystem.
Yes, and players are starting to switch to other games. Like they're looking like, I can't do this. And it seems like, according to this article, that Hasbro is just like pushing full steam ahead into 2023. They're going to have new products They're hoping to appeal to a broader audience, but they're releasing the Universes Beyond set, the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth set, additionally a Doctor Who crossover Commander set, and alongside being geared as collectibles, these new products are designed to appeal to a wider audience, so hoping to increase the brand's reach. So they're just like keep flooding the market with these new packs. And by the way, the pack that's cost $1,000, the 30th anniversary one. Normally those packs range, I think it was like $1 to $4. And the fans band together that said, "Do not buy this. If you buy this, you are basically you're killing this game because you are proving to them that this is something that they should do."
Right.
And I don't think it was taken down. It was not up for very long. I don't think it was very successful.
Good.
But I haven't seen something like this where the creators are just so straightforward trying to capitalize and make money and just actively killing what they've created.
Well, it makes me wonder, and I don't think this was mentioned in the article, and I don't know if maybe it's public record somewhere, but like it makes me wonder, was there some sort of a change in the leadership of the company? Because it just seems like out of where, like you've gone for so many years, like this game is not new. Like this has been around, it's been established, people have grown to love it. You've built this relationship with your fan base, and then kind of out of what seemingly looks like out of nowhere, it looks like you're actively trying to tank your own company. It just doesn't make sense if the leadership has stayed consistent. That does not make any sense to me. This feels very much like when Bob Chapek took over at Disney from Bob Iger. Like Iger spent years like killing it at Disney, just making it fucking as best as it could be, helping Feige, mold Marvel and do these things at the parks and making partnerships and this and that. And then Chapek comes in and he's just like, yeah, bend over. We're gonna go in raw dog, no lube.
Let's monetize this even more because people will pay for it. Right. And he just started really tanking that brand, and now he's the fuck out and Iger's back in, and he's got a big job to salvage that. But this feels like a leadership change to me. Well, I think part of this is that Magic the Gathering has been purchased and repurchased, and like it's become part of a conglomerate sort of situation where the only reason why someone like Hasbro would buy this would be to squeeze money out of it. It's just like why Amazon bought Twitch or does any of the things that it does.
MGM.
Yeah, right. Like it's buying this stuff up because it wants the properties, or it wants to use the brand to make more money. And you've seen it with video game, like indie video game studios who get purchased by like these monsters, these monoliths, and then all of a sudden things just go to shit fast because they're like, pump these games out, we're not going to take the time or whatever. We're here to make money. And there's nothing wrong with monetizing this game at all. I mean, I think it's fine.
If Hasbro can use this and make more money off it, then that is the name of their game. That's the name of what they're doing with capitalism and corporate, structure. That's what this is.
You've got a product that has demand and people enjoy it.
Right.
But, Dungeons & Dragons is no different. They continually release new source books, new adventures. It's not all the time. It takes time to build this stuff out and test it and things like that. But they're keeping the content fresh. They're keeping stuff exciting. But you got to pay for that stuff. You got to pay for the source books because it gives you access to new species, new monsters, new items. Possibly an adventure that's been written so you don't have to make up your own. Like, it's worth it, right? And they range anywhere from like $10 to $30 to $40 for some of these big collections, which I'm happy to pay that, Yeah. But if they were coming out with something every goddamn week, I'd just be like, this is too much, man. Like, stop, like, pull it back.
Well, it's also too much. You're a fan of this property, but unless you're obsessive compulsive over this, then there's no way that you're going to be able to, you're going to get left behind. It's not only a monetary thing, you're going to get left behind in your own game. That's actually a good point, because with Dungeons and Dragons, there's not a huge advantage if I buy the source book, right? I just have access to more content. It's more or less like, do you want to have like more diversified fun because we can do this thing? Whereas with this, it's like, do you want to have these new cards that could potentially play into a much more interesting or powerful strategy, or the meta
as they call it. You know, do you have the cards that allow you to be the most competitive? Well, you got to pay for it. You know, it's just like loot boxes in video games. You know, trying to unlock that stuff through random. You know, it's slot machines, but for card games.
Yeah. And it's a very short term, going back to the Hasbro business model. Like, nothing wrong with them trying to make money, but you got to look at it from and this is nothing that they don't know, which is it's business 101. You look at it long term. Like right now, it looks like almost like when you short a stock, right? You're doing a short term play to make as much money as possible. You tank this thing, and it goes under. Like it looks like they're doing it on purpose to do a real quick cash grab. Almost like they don't want to deal with this anymore, so they're going to do this, make a lot of money in the real quick, and then maybe drive people away from it so they can sunset the game. I don't know. Like it's weird because you're not thinking long term with this.
I want to take a moment and acknowledge you, Justin. That was a great use of the word shorting the stock. I'm proud of you. You used that correctly. You did a really good job.
I was nervous about halfway through. I'm like, if I'm doing this wrong, Doug's going to call me on it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty awful if they're like, we're going to, you know, because according to this article, their stock has dropped almost 5.5%, you know, from this sort of stuff. Their performance hasn't been good. Yeah. You know, so for the idea of like, we'll drive it down, you know, and then, you know, if they want to try and do something to then bring it back up or whatever, you know, whatever. Regardless, yeah, they're essentially, Bank of America's like, yo, this is shitty. And that's saying something from a founding father. That means something, you know?
Because they did what? They performed like an audit on it, or they did some sort of a research report.
Yeah.
They did a midterm report on it.
Yeah, and it's
final.
It's not good.
Class.
That's right. They had to do it because Dr. Stevens says, "Do you want to pass this class? Well, you got two ways to do this. You either do this report, or these balls aren't going to lick themselves." You know. That's right.
We all went to college.
We all know what you have to do to get a C, you know?
Hey, how's my grade looking?
I'm showing some signs of being fucking wet.
That's an A+ right there.
Come on over. I know I've told this story before, but I just got to tell it again in this context.
I'm very worried with what's going to happen.
You know, I had a professor who told me a story of another professor who had a student who was just not doing well. And she came into his office and just was like, "I'm not doing well." He's like, "Yeah, I know. You have to work hard." She goes, "Listen, I don't think I'm going to be able to pass this class." He's like, "All right, I'm going to tell you." She goes, "I will do anything for a C." And he was like, in his mind, he's like, "Only a C? Like,
only a C?"
It's like, come on, set yourself higher than that. Aim higher. Like, what are you?
First off, don't do this.
Yeah.
Second, aim higher.
Yeah, come on. Like, this is why you're in this situation to begin with. Like, you're not putting in the effort that you deserve. You don't understand this class. You don't understand how this works.
Oh, man. That is gross and wildly uncomfortable. I can't even imagine being in that position. That professor, like, please leave my office.
Yeah, get out of here. Please leave. And as she leaves, it's like, only a C? Come on.
Let me see.
You're better than that.
Yeah.
You're better than that. Gross. So, any Magic the Gathering fans out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this story. You know, how do you feel if you're an avid gamer or fan of this franchise? How you feeling about everything? What's your outlook moving forward? And more importantly, why do you like deck building games? You weirdo.
Let's really get down to
Let's get down to it.
Potatoes of this, yeah.
Deck building.
Potatoes
Why?
And gravy.
Yeah, right. Also, do you put gravy on your potatoes or do you put just butter? That's kind of let us know.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
You know who doesn't put gravy or butter on his potatoes?
That you know of. I'm sure he does it at least once a year. You know.
Probably once a year, but he does not slip like we do.
Mm-mm.
Mr. Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. That guy. I saw a Instagram reel of him the other day where he was just at some fucking hibachi grill, just catching food, and he goes, we just came for dinner, and it turned into a party, and like he just shows different things, so they kept throwing him stuff. He's like, give me more. He's, give me more. And it pops another one. He's like, and then like his kids and everyone, like the chefs are dancing, like he's like this just turned into a party. I'm like, that's amazing, you know?
That's awesome.
But as he's like catching me, he flexes. I'm like, God, your fucking muscles are huge. Still,
Right?
you're not even in Thor shape. And you're just,
you're just in like Chris Hemsworth shape.
just like, I love your app, you know?
I love your app, Chris.
I love your app.
It's interesting to see how big now that Liam's taken over The Witcher. He's buffing himself out too.
Oh man, that's gonna be a weird transition. Like I like Liam, but I really liked Henry Cavill as The Witcher. He's so good in it, and I don't know, I think that's. I'm willing to hear it out. I'm willing to see it. I'm willing to check it out. But I'm like, I don't know, man. That's gonna be a tough sell for me.
Is there anything baked into the lore that would allow them to do this seamlessly?
I don't think so.
Like, does The Witcher reincarnate into kind of like Doctor Who? They built in where the Doctor dies and then comes back in a new form, and that allowed them to go for 70 years or whatever it is with multiple doctors. Like, there's nothing built into the lore of The Witcher that allows them to do this.
People die. People die horrible deaths.
Straight up rip the Band-Aid off and, we got a new person.
Just be like, hey, man, to be honest with you, this used to be the case all the time when we were growing up. New actors would pop in all the time. It just doesn't happen as much nowadays.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, like, there's just a shitload of money. Because it'd be one thing if it's like, if you're lucky, you can come back for the sequel. It's like, I don't want to. Where it's like, you could be attached for, like, this ridiculous 9-movie franchise that could just basically make you for the rest of your career or whatever, you know? I think contractually they'd probably try to keep that stuff alive. But, you know, it's still possible. It's just, I think it'll just be tough to see the transition, and maybe it'll be seamless. I don't know. But, I don't know. Henry Cavill, I think, just nailed it.
Absolutely. And there's a reason that Chris Hemsworth didn't take it, and Liam Hemsworth is because Chris Hemsworth is apparently taking an acting break, and maybe, dramatic pause, permanent break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy can certainly do it. I mean, I don't think he...
he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's doing just fine. Yeah. But
so you recommended this show, Limitless, and there's obviously a pretty big surprise in it. Ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So in episode, I can't remember if it was episode 4 or 5. It was in going into this show where he tests the limit of human endurance and all this stuff, tries to figure out ways to live longer and healthier and better. He had to subject himself to a bunch of tests going into it, so they knew what his baseline everything was, so that then they could move forward safely with all of these things that they were doing with him. And in one of the tests that came back, he had increased levels of the APOE4 or APO4 gene, which apparently leads to increased risk of Alzheimer's. Now, his grandfather has it, and he's very close with him. He talked in the episode about, in an interview since, how hard it is for him to watch someone who has built a life of memories to have those memories stolen from him. And he goes, like, he spent his whole life collecting these memories, and these are his, and now he doesn't have them anymore. And that really hit Chris in a very hard way. So apparently, it's not a guarantee he's going to get it. He's just genetically more inclined to get it. And they said in the show, it's about an 8 to 10% increased chance with having this. And so that set him back in his chair a little bit. And he took it in, and the episode was dedicated to mental health and how you can strengthen and build new neural pathways and clear out all the buildup that causes dementia and Alzheimer's. But because of this, he looked at it and goes, what do I really want out of my life? And he's like, I want to spend more time with my kids and my wife at my home and travel and experience and build these memories so that I can have them for as long as possible. And so he's like, hey, I need to step back. I need to take a break. So I think he's wrapping up any obligations that he had. I think he said in the episode that he's like, pretty much all the projects that I had in the pipeline were coming to a close, and this seemed like a really perfect time to not take any new ones on. So that's where he's at with that.
That's sad to hear. You never want to hear the concept, and we've mentioned this before, the concept of just, losing your mind, losing your concept of where you are, what you're doing, that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I think the only thing I've had with that once is, and I mentioned this before, during a wrestling match, I bumped heads with someone, and then a second later the match was over and I won. And I'm like, what?
Right.
They're like, yeah, you beat that. They had to stop the match because you beat him by so many points. Like, that's the thing that happens in wrestling. That I'm not just like, yeah, I won so hard. And you're like, there's too many. We have to stop this.
I tore his arm off.
This is an impossibility for him to recover from this lashing he's taking right now. We have to stop the match. It's just when you win by 15, they're like, well, okay, we're done here. We don't need to keep going. And I did that twice in my high school career, and I don't remember that time because I apparently somehow
you went into autopilot, basically.
Yeah, basically my body went into autopilot and I was done. I remember walking over to my coach and being like, did I win? They're like, yeah, they just raised your hand. I'm like, I don't remember anything that just happened.
That's terrifying.
And that was just a brief moment in time. I remember talking to my dad. My dad's like, do you remember eating breakfast? And I was like, I don't remember. Like, I couldn't remember anything, and it was terrifying. Just you see different, like, I imagine the show Moon Knight, where the character all of a sudden just is like, he's driving a car and everyone around him's dead. What the fuck just happened? Just no clue.
Right.
And the fear that must come from that, the frustration that it causes other people as they have to constantly explain things to you, and just how awful that has to be. Like, the idea of, I imagine myself being in a hospital or someplace and not recognizing Jill or not recognizing Natalie and being like, who are you?
Yeah. I was so all four of my grandparents, my mom's dad and my dad's mom are both deceased. They succumbed to dementia and everything that comes with that. And now my mom's mom and my dad's dad are also in the memory care wards and in the middle of it. So it's coming from all sides in my family, all four grandparents. But my dad's dad currently we just over Thanksgiving got to go and spend a little bit of time with him. And while we were there, he gets caught in these loops, and it's just, at first it's heartbreaking, and then you just have to find some levity in the situation because it turns into an Abbott and Costello routine. Who's on first, and then you move past that and it gets sad again. It's just the weirdest range of emotions that you find with this. But we would sit there and he goes, I'm so happy you're all here. Mike, my son, Pam, my aunt was there, Justin, and who's this? And he points to Beth, and she's like, I'm Beth. And he goes, I'm Justin's wife. And I've met you before? And yes, yeah. And he goes, well, when? And he goes, well, at our wedding. Well, how long have you been married? 12 years. 12 years. Can you believe that? I'm just so happy you're all here. Because Mike and Pam and Justin, who are you again?
Oh, my God.
Literally went right back. It was like a flawless loop. And that happened. I'm not lying, Doug. That happened for probably 5 full minutes before and you try to let them naturally get out of it. And then eventually you just have to, my dad is an ace at handling this now. And he just threw, he's like, I think there was a Western movie they had, and he's like, oh, Dad, this is the one with Dean Martin that you like, and he's like, I don't like this. Dad's like, you absolutely do. Growing up, this was your favorite. And he's like, I've never seen this before. He's like, okay, Dad, but that broke the loop, and then
That's
other things, and but then he'll get back into that loop again.
Yeah.
But watching that, I was just like, man, I can't imagine being stuck in. It's like being stuck in a time loop, and you can't break out of it, no matter what you try. And I often wonder. My question is there any shred of them left in there that has an awareness of being trapped? Like, as the body is saying this, is there another little small sliver of his mind that's screaming like, I can't stop this. I can't get out. Or is he just gone? Like, I've thought about this so much because that's terrifying.
That's an interesting question.
Right?
Ooh, right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like the people whose like bodies essentially like they become paralyzed and they can't talk, but their mind is perfectly fine.
Right.
And they just have to use their eyes or whatever to talk, and they're just like, I'm in here. I'm fully functional, but I just can't physically move.
That to me is like I've got I got fear of drowning. I'm a little claustrophobic. Like I've definitely got those phobias. That to me is like one of the ultimate, because that brings all of it together. Like you're kind of drowning in yourself, and you're talk about claustrophobic. You're in this body and you can't do any, like it's just such a, man, that's so terrifying to me.
Yeah, that sort of I know that's the worst part I think about getting older, or one of the worst things is just your body fails, Yeah. At some point I'm going to struggle to go up and down the stairs, and that's going to suck, Right. And because I'm going to be the guy that's like, does this place only have stairs? And don't take me. I don't want to be a burden. This place isn't for me. I didn't get there when I was young. Tough shit now, older Doug. You're not going now. Because I say this, like, I mean, when I see people going like, we're going to go to Machu Picchu, and they're like, I'm in a wheelchair. They're like, okay, we're still going. We're going to carry you up there. A part of me is like, no.
Right.
Sorry.
Not for me. Yeah.
No. That's not an adventure that I can partake in, because, and some people be like, hey, don't shit on those people. I'm like, hey, listen, if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do for me. I'd be like, sorry, I missed my window. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not for you. That's not where you want to be. Yeah.
Just not going to, just like, if I can't walk consistently, I'm not going to Disney World. Like, that I'm not going to be in a scooter. Yeah. Like, just trying to navigate that shit. I don't want to do it. I hate driving anyway, let alone just being like, navigating crowds sucks when you can maneuver at your own will, let alone if you're in a goddamn, like, right. Just imagine staying for the fucking fireworks and trying to get out of the park on a goddamn scooter. Like that, right. Getting out of the park fully functional with my child on my shoulders was bad enough. Let alone if I kind of like, I can't see, just, yeah, it's just that whole thing stresses me the fuck out. And I'm like,
absolutely, man. Yeah.
Hard pass. Absolutely. I don't want to be here anymore. I just give up on that sort of stuff. So that's brutal. Yeah.
What's interesting is, again, I strongly recommend people watch the show, because it's a good, like I said, the stunts is what gets you through the episode. Like that's the big thing to look forward to. But it's all the in between stuff that leads up to it is the really fascinating stuff. And there's a bunch of stuff that they went over that I really would like to start implementing into my day-to-day life. And just, any step I can take, very much kind of what he came to, his final realization. Any small thing I can do, no matter how little of a difference it makes, I'm going to do it, because that's one step closer to grabbing on, holding on a little bit longer, and not succumbing to an inability to walk up the stairs, or not succumbing to memory loss, or not succumbing to, at some point it comes, things come for all of us. But if there's something you can do to push that off for a little bit longer, I'm into it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't wish that on anybody. I want everyone to be able to enjoy their lives, and ideally, I'd rather not be able to, like, in my old age, like, be confined to a wheelchair than to lose my mind. Like I'd rather have my full functionality of my brain than my body, because at least with my brain, the way that technology is going and stuff like that, there's so many ways that I can still engage, communicate, make the best jokes in the world, things like that. If my mind is going, while I wouldn't know in the moment, if I did find moments of clarity, I would know how much hell I would have put people through. Just the annoyance, the uncomfortable elements, the sadness, just the frustration, just because I would get in those loops.
Not easy, man. Yeah.
I know I would be putting people through that, and they would be doing their best, but I would expect any frustration to be warranted, and I would feel awful. And I would probably just be like, fucking fill me up with drugs and send me out to sea and light that boat on fire, baby, because I don't want to be here anymore. If I'm going to be that much of a burden, get me the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah, my dad keeps saying he's going to, if the moment that he finds, the moment that he shows the first sign, he goes, I'm driving myself out to the forest. I'm going to start walking, and you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
Because I'm not putting anyone through this,
Yeah.
Having gone through both of his parents, he, and my mom conversely with both of her parents, it's they both are saying like just how desperately they don't want to be a burden on anyone else. And I'm like, I'm here for it if it happens, but I understand that sentiment fully.
That's tough, man. And as we knock on 40, as 40 knocks on our door, we cross into that threshold to the latter part of our lives. Like, that's a very real possibility that I don't know if I still kind of live in the mindset that I'll be fully capable to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. Right. I've got aches and pains now, but I'm like, yeah, there's gonna come a time where something happens where I can't do what I
I do agree with that. I do think that there is a big, and I didn't think this way until probably in the last like 3 to 5 years. I started shifting my mentality on this. I do think that there is there's a lot to what you give your mental, like there's a lot of mentality that plays into it. Like I think like there is a lot of, obviously there's physical stuff and there's mental stuff that you can't, that is just going to happen when it happens, and it happens to everybody. But the people that I've seen that are in older age that are still kicking ass and taking names, like my father-in-law is 80, 81, and he's still running around a basketball gym. If he's not coaching, he's reffing. If he's not reffing, he's working the score table. If he's not doing that, then he's driving up here. If he's not driving up here, he's going out to play golf. If he's not going out to play, like, he doesn't stop.
If he's not doing that, he's going down to Disney World to hang out for a few days.
Exactly. Yeah, just do what he wants to. Yeah. But I think I watch people like that who are a little older and who are still kicking. And then I look at the people who are around the same age and are not, and they're just kind of sick, like, or even the people who are 20 years younger than him and are just like, oh, I'm getting old, oh, my back, oh, my, and it's all these, like, they're mentally putting themselves into old age, whereas my father-in-law is like, I'm just going to go until I can't go anymore. And I do think that, and I'm not saying this is, I want to be very clear to the people who are ready in the comment section. This is not a blanket statement. Things happen that are out of your control. But I do think that there is a mentality that you can put forth. Do you subscribe to old age, or do you subscribe to, I'm just going to kind of keep going until my body stops going?
Unsubscribe.
I don't know what that means, but yes.
You asked if I was gonna subscribe to old age. I was like, unsubscribe.
No, I'm saying, I don't think I don't think people, I think that there is a mentality element to it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can beat old age. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, just like you can't beat cancer with fucking eating peppers. All right, like that's just not how you can do it.
Yes.
But there is a mentality and a will that goes into it, just like there's a mentality and a will to be healthy, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I think your father-in-law being active is huge. He's not only engaging his body, keeping his body healthy, he's also engaging his mind. He's doing stuff that requires mental agility, mental fortitude, and he's keeping himself active. I think that's the biggest thing, and I 100% agree with you. I mean, the idea of me trying to get fit by 40 is the idea that's going to catapult me into the rest of my life with this lifestyle. Yes. The idea that I'm going to turn this shit around and I'm going to do my best to be as healthy as possible so that I can stay active, so that I can stay strong, so that my body doesn't, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Your body will break down, it will decay, and if you don't stay active, there's countless studies that I'm not even going to reference because it's out there, guys. Look it up yourself. I don't know but you hear it consistently. Like, there's a reason why they say be active, get up, walk, do something, be active, keep your body moving because it needs that to stay healthy. As a guy who sat on his ass for many years, after being active, I can tell you my body didn't feel great, didn't feel good. I mean, the worst part was like bending over to tie my shoes. I got out of breath because like my belly was like shooting up into my stomach, and I was like, I was like, oh God, it's hard to breathe while I'm bending over to tie my shoes.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know, it's just my body's like, we don't know what to do anymore. This is just so fucking fat. Like, it was just... Today, Natalie patted my belly. She's like, you got a fat belly. I go, untrue. I used to. I now have a... I go, feel this, and I flexed, and I was like, hit me hard. And she was like punching me. I'm like, that's a better belly. You know, I was like, let's look at some pictures when you were younger. I was like, that was a not so good belly.
Doug's also like, also, don't be mean.
I was like, also, feel these. She does it now. She's like, Dad, feel my muscles. I'm like, yeah, keep working on them, girl. You can do it. Because that's the other thing, too, is I want to inspire her. I want to inspire her to be like, Dad's going to the gym. Like, that's the routine. Is like, Dad's got to go to the gym. Dad's got to go on a walk. And I want to show her that I'm like, I'm active. I'm staying healthy. I'm doing this stuff because I want to be active, you know?
And I think that's what I'm talking about when I say, like, not subscribing to the idea of old age, is that the people who are in their 60s and they're just like, well, I'm old now. And they resign themselves to acting like they're old. And so they won't take the stairs. They'll take the elevator because they're like, no, it's just so hard. Take the stairs. It'll get easy. Like, and this is where I want to make the concession. I understand arthritis happens. Everybody is different. But in general, if you subscribe to the idea of being old and you start to let yourself like ease into that and stop moving so much and stop doing things, it's going to have an adverse effect on you.
Justin's not telling you to go out and start powerlifting when you turn 60.
Bingo.
He's not saying that. He's saying, obviously, if you have some physical incapabilities, then you have to take the elevator. That's fine. But the idea of, if you could take the stairs, you can, but you choose not to.
Right.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Maybe you challenge yourself. Same thing. Get up and walk around for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. And then get used to that, make it 15 minutes. Yeah. You get used to that, make it 20 minutes. And then before you know it, you're off and running. You're good to go. Not even literally running. You're just off and walking, and you feel better. You're moving. Your body is, like that was what jump started me. Just eating better and walking, and just fucking lost the weight, baby. And now it's about just making sure my body's strong. So I'm with you, Chris Hemsworth. We love you, buddy.
Yes.
And
we don't know you, but we love you.
We love you, and I am very happy that he has the means to basically step away and just enjoy time with his family. I catch his reels from time to time and with him and his family. I was like, God damn, you guys look like you're just having so much fun. And it makes me very happy for them to be enjoying that time together. So
they do look like they have a very fun little family unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's really good.
We're going to burn through this real quick here.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Oh, so if you've never been here before, ask Practical Doug. Practical Doug is a tiny Doug that lives inside of Big Doug and guides Big Doug in all of life's journeys and through life's quagmires, if you will. If you want to ask Practical Doug a question, you can join us live Tuesdays, 7 o'clock Central, and you can ask in the YouTube chat. You can join our Discord, and there is a dedicated channel for Ask Practical Doug, or any social media. Post a message to us and hashtag Ask Practical Doug on there at MindGap Podcast, and you might get your question answered. Today's question was...
May I interject?
Oh, please.
May I? I found something randomly today, and it popped in my head. Sure. And if you don't mind, I would love to share it for this segment.
Is this going to be the Practical Doug
This would be the Practical Doug segment. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
It's an Am I the Asshole? And this one really caught my eye.
Yes.
It says, Am I the asshole for quote-unquote ruining the rice that my boyfriend cooks with by consolidating the multiple bags of rice, which he claims are different, into a single container? So here's how it goes.
All right, lay it on me.
I, a 26 female, moved in with my boyfriend, 23 male, earlier this year. He's kind of disorganized, so I tend to have to tidy things up a lot. He often complains that I, quote-unquote, misplace his things, but it's really just his lack of organization more than anything. He keeps telling me to stop moving his things around, but we live here together, so I don't see why I should stop doing that. Anyway, he happens to be the one who does most of the cooking, and I'd say he's pretty good at it. One thing that does bother me is that he keeps multiple huge bags of rice in the kitchen, which he claims are different types of rice. But I looked at them, and they're all just the same white rice. I told him that he should put it in a proper container, but he insists that it's just fine the way it is. But the thing is, I don't think it's fine the way it is. So yesterday, I decided to consolidate all of the rice by getting a huge tub to put all of the rice in. I dumped all 3 bags in there and put it in the pantry. When I texted my boyfriend and told him where I put the rice, he completely freaked out and said that I quote unquote ruined the rice. He texted me that I can't mix basmati rice with jasmine rice, but it's all just white rice. I don't see how it's any less edible. When he came home, he just started yelling at me, and I was really hurtful because I was doing him a favor. Am I the asshole here? Now look, I'm no rice expert, okay? But I too do most of the cooking. And literally this just happened to me last week. I was going to make a dish with rice, and it asked for basmati rice, and I didn't have as much as I needed. So I went to the store and I found brown basmati rice, which is what I wanted. I just had white. I was like, sweet, I've been looking for this. I got it. And I went back home and I was about to combine them, and I was like, wait, these are different. Very different things. Like, now brown rice and white rice, significantly different. Brown rice takes exponentially longer to cook. And I knew if I mixed these, it would be a disaster. And I was like, don't do this. Point.
Right.
Don't do this. But there is a difference between basmati rice and jasmine rice and things like that. The way in which it cooks and things like that. There's short grain rice. There's long grain rice. So is there a huge difference? I'm not an expert on that I'm know that.
It up right now, and it doesn't seem like there's a massive difference, but there's a greater than zero difference.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, like
there is a difference.
They come from 2 different areas. One does cook different than the other. One is softer, plumper, and a bit more moist, and one has a firmer and drier character to it.
Yes. And I don't know how that affects the cook time either. Like, you know, as far as, because if you have all that stuff together. One should be boiled, one should be steamed, it said, too. Huge difference there. Because if they're all mixed together, that's a big, big, big difference. So, yeah. So that was, I think, was her heart in the right place? Kind of. But it was still what she wanted to do. The line that says, he insists that's just fine the way it is, but the thing is, I don't think it's fine the way it is. And then she took it upon herself to do what she wanted to do because it was bothering her. That's not okay. And as someone who is, you've been married for a while, I've been married for a while, this kind of stuff, it's an early relationship thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's a, hey, this doesn't bother me. Yeah, this really bothers me. You got to find a way to compromise around it. When Jill and I first moved to Chicago, we didn't have a dishwasher. And so we would make dinner and stuff, and then dishes would just sit in the sink. And then we realized we couldn't do that because we didn't have anywhere else to put it, and the sink would get filled up. So we had to wash dishes like crazy. And it's gotten to the point now where I cannot stand dishes in the sink just sitting there. I can't.
Yeah.
Absolutely can't. And especially when we have a dishwasher, I'm like, get that shit in the dishwasher. Like,
right.
That's because I actually will hand wash everything that I use and put it back because Practical Doug's like, well, just reuse it again. Like, don't need to put it in the dishwasher, save a wash,
exactly.
So things of that nature. And also, he does most of the cooking. So that's not your realm. Stay out of that realm. All right.
Or if it is or if it's something that does bother you, because the kitchen, if he does most of the cooking, that's fine. But I mean, the kitchen is
true.
It's the apartment. Everyone should be able to go in, and she didn't say that he does all. She said she does most. Right.
He says he happens to be the one who does most of the cooking.
Right. So either way, I would say if it does bother you, then what this necessitates is a conversation.
100%. A crucial conversation.
A crucial conversation. Say, hey, look, this rice bothers the ever-loving fuck out of me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't like this. Is there something? Can I buy you 3 stackable containers instead of just having open bags down there?
Right.
Can we? There's 3 rices. There's basmati and jasmine. are 2 bags one of the same? Can I put both of those into let's talk, let's work.
Come with a solution. I like what you're doing. You're coming to the table with solutions. You're like, instead of just saying, I don't like this, it bothers me. You're like, I don't like this bothers me. So how can we consolidate this? How can we make this better? Jill has done that to me so many times because I will let stuff go. And she's like, listen, having stuff everywhere drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I want to fix this. And one day she did that. She put a bunch of shit in these baskets and put them on top of the fridge. And I was like, I don't like that at all. I was like, that's not accessible at all to you. You're tiny. How did you even get those up there? Like... I go, I can't even see into those. I was like, I have to pull those down. I was like, this is not, but we worked it out. We figured it out. I was like, I get it. Having a bunch of shit on the countertops taking up space, it's not great. It clutters the mind. I totally get it. So I totally empathize with her on that. But you're absolutely right. Just doing it, not asking questions, not seeking to understand. Like, hey, I can just combine all this stuff, right? And then after the fact, okay. If his perspective is true, and he just like railed on her like when she got home, which seems like it. They're young. Seems like a very possible thing that could have happened. That's not cool. But also, she did this without asking, without having the conversation, and God knows how much rice there is. Hopefully, it wasn't. She says a tub. I mean,
well, how expensive are 3 bags of rice? Because this is my other side of it. Is what you touched on just there. I'm like, at the same time, while she should have probably had the conversation, I would say to the guy, hey, dude, it's fucking rice.
Well, are we talking 3 Costco-sized bags of rice? Like, what are we talking here?
No, that's the thing. I was just thinking, like, 3 5-pound bags
she
of rice?
She goes, I decided to consolidate all the rice by getting a huge tub to put all the rice in. I dumped all 3 bags in there and put it in the pantry. So, I don't know what a huge tub is, rice. But...
$20 for a what is this? A 240 ounce 10-pound bag of rice off Amazon is $11.
Mm-hmm. It's not much, but I would be annoyed if like I had plans because I plan out my week, for like cooking and stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you just took all of that, and now I have to go to the store now and buy I have to buy more rice because you just dumped them all together. I can't use this, and now you bought this tub that we don't need. Because here's
the thing. You can all, and this is coming from an ex-container.
Don't you dare, Justin. Don't you dare. Take your corporate bullshit out the door.
Always use more containers.
That is not true.
That is absolutely true.
That's bullshit.
That's a pro level move right there.
Use the promo code BIGTUB at checkout to get your container from the Container Store today.
Big Tub.
Big Tub. Also my nickname in college. Final verdict. I have to say she is the asshole.
Yes, she is the asshole and I will say for me, she's the asshole with the caveat that depending on how he flew off the what did she say? He flew off the rails?
He said he just started yelling at me when he came home. Sorry, I don't know why that made me laugh. He just started yelling at me.
You shouldn't have done that, but hey, buddy, at the end of the day, it's fucking rice.
Yeah.
And if that's going to set you off, you might need to do a little bit, a deeper dive into what's going on.
To quote someone I recently talked to, it's not just about the rice, Justin. It's more than about it's more than the freaking rice, okay? It's there's much more to that.
Amen, brother.
Amen. Amen, brother. And that has been Practical Talk. All right, Justin, what do you got to recommend this week?
Inside jokes are fun.
Yes, they are.
I'm going to recommend, I think this was recommended a few weeks ago, and I don't remember who recommended it. Might have been Tim Sosko. I don't remember, but it's the Fly on the Wall podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade. Basically, it's Dana Carvey, David Spade, have a guest each week, and they talk about SNL stuff. They share stories. They talk about show business stuff and a little bit about the guest's life, but most people that they talk to revolve around that SNL kind of sphere rather. And some of the stories are great. So I've listened to the Chris Rock episode, the John Mulaney episode, the Bill Hader episode,
nice
the Jimmy Fallon episode. they've got one that I'm saving. It's a 2-parter. It's the Lauren Michael episode. They somehow got him to sit down and talk.
Jesus Christ.
Some of these stories are just fucking great. And listening to them talk about behind the scenes, the process. A lot of people have heard about the process, but they've heard, I think everyone who's been on the cast has kind of a stock, watered down, here's the process for all the press that wants to know. They really get into some of the like weird peccadillos that people have during the week, and it's fascinating. So
yeah.
I understand that the 2 personalities might not be for everybody, but if I would say give it a shot. It is a very interesting listen. And the best part is it's one of these podcasts where you can just scroll through, find a name that interests you, and pick it.
I like those podcasts.
Zero that references, previous or future. Like each episode is contained in its own little habitat, which is wonderful.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So called Fly on the Wall. Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade.
That's
Doug,
awesome.
what do you got?
I'm also going to recommend a podcast that I checked out this week. It's called Work Appropriate. It's from the Crooked Media collection of podcasts, and it's hosted by author Anne Helen Peterson. And she has a fascinating story in that she was a journalist for BuzzFeed and essentially got burnt the fuck out and didn't really understand why she was getting burnt out. And she wrote like an article that went viral about millennial burnout, ended up writing a book, and she started realizing and sort of analyzing work culture and why we think that we need to put in all this work and all this effort, and to what end, just to get burnt out. And so she actually created a podcast where she has different guests on every week. They take fan submitted questions about their workplace and they sort of like break it down. And I've never been so just enamored with the idea of analyzing work culture and how to handle certain situations and whatever. I thought it was awesome. It was amazing. It was such a fun, great podcast that is not typically in my bailiwick. I usually like fun, silly stuff, although I do like some of the more serious nonfiction stuff. But this was really, really good. It's a relatively new podcast, and so I just say come check it out. If you've ever worked in corporate America, you will identify with this stuff. You will identify with the questions that people ask. One of them was about.
Oh yeah, give me an example.
One of them was like, I keep getting this swag from my company, and it feels like they're trying to bribe me with swag. Or what do I do with all this swag? I don't want it, and I feel guilty giving it away, donating it, because then some asshole's gonna have to wear some sweatpants with the logo of my company on it. Like, what do I need to do with it? And they just told a great story about how like BuzzFeed, like just right before they got purchased or whatever, before they were expanding, they got everyone the Apple iWatch, and it truly felt like a bribe to keep people there, and just how it feels. And it got me thinking about how some of the places I used to work at, they would offer pizza parties when the morale was so low that was actually detrimental, because people were like, I am struggling, I need help, I need more pay, and you're offering me 2 slices of pizza? You're walking around with a goddamn ice cream cone for Ice Cream Fridays. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I want more. And they're like, we're just trying to be nice. It's like, I don't want this. I want something different. And that was like pre-pandemic sort of stuff. And so like hearing these stories, I'm like, oh yeah, I can identify with that. I understand that perfectly. So if you've ever worked in corporate America or really had any sort of work experience, and you want to tap into this and hear what other people are asking, it's a wonderful podcast. Highly recommend it. It's called Work Appropriate. You can find it wherever you find your podcast. It's associated with Crooked Media, which is one of my favorite media organizations right now. So check that out. Pew! Also, check us out on all social media at Mind Gap Podcast. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. Like and subscribe. Help us get up those numbers. And then, just be kind. Leave a comment. Tell us what you thought about something, Tell your friends, We're right here. We live stream on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central for the podcast, and I live stream on Fridays and or Saturdays, depending on my schedule right now. It's a little in flux, but it'll be this Friday, 8 p.m. Central, Overwatch 2. See you there. Also, see Justin online as well.
That's right, on Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Good Pod, all the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. You'll be able to find and consume us. And we ask you to do all the things, sharing, rating, reviewing, subscribing. Just let people know we're here and, maybe say a kind word about us. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social medias, as well as loveandimprovfilm.com. Love and Improv Film on Instagram.
on Instagram. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fun conversation as always. And I just want to say out there to all y'all listening, thank you for listening. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for sharing us around. Greatly appreciate it. And we'll see y'all soon. So with that, I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
My